my boyfriend at the time decided to call, I want to say it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And he asked, "Where's Renee?" So my mother goes, "She's not here." And he goes, "I know, because I know exactly where she is. I'm going to find her, and you're never going to see her again. I'm going to kill her."
Living water for the thirsty soul.
I want to tell you a possession story. And this happened when I was 16 years old. I was dating a guy, and I'm at home. I'm sitting at home, and he comes to the house. He knocks on the door. My mother opens the door. He comes in. He says, "Hi, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah." We spend about 5 minutes. Then his friend comes and knocks on the door. So his friend knew that he was there. So he asked for him and asked if he could come outside. Let's say the guy's name is Anthony. Okay. So Anthony goes outside. He winds up going to his friend's grandmother's house. He's standing outside. Now, this is the second person he tells me what happened afterwards. So he's standing outside of the friend's grandmother's house. So the friend's inside with the grandmother, and the grandmother goes, "Who's that standing outside?" So he looks around and he goes, "What do you mean?" Yeah, I do have a friend outside. Tell him to come inside. He has a strong spirit. Okay. Now, none of us at that time, my ex nor I, had a relationship with Christ. So he comes into the house, and I want to say he's 17 at the time. He comes into the house and he tells me that the grandmother told him to look at an item. It was a stationary item. "I want you to stare at it until it starts to move." So he says he stares at it, and that's the last thing that he remembered. Anthony came back to my house a different person. Okay. And I thank God for my mother's spirit, for discernment. He comes and knocks on the door. My mother opens the door, and she said she just felt something strange about him. So he goes, "Yeah, hi, is Renee home?" So my mother goes, "No, she left out. I think she went to the store or something." She said, "But one of your other friends came looking for you. You should leave. You should go and try to find him." So she closes the door, and she comes to me and she goes, "Anthony's looking kind of weird." Okay, well, what does that mean? So he comes back. He rings the doorbell again, and my mother's like, "No, I'm not gonna. I'm just not." She just ignored it and didn't open the door. But anyway, I decided to go to a friend's house. So I go to this friend's house, and my boyfriend at the time decided to call, I want to say it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And he asked, "Where's Renee?" So my mother goes, "She's not here." And he goes, "I know, because I know exactly where she is. I'm going to find her, and you're never going to see her again. I'm going to kill her." Okay. So my mother's worried sick. And during that time, I'm hanging out, I'm partying, I'm doing what 16-year-olds shouldn't be doing, and going to clubs where, people 21 are only allowed to go. So finally, just something in my spirit told me not to go home. Don't go home. So I wind up calling my mother. And the first thing she says is, "Where are you?" So I told her, I said, "I'm at such and such house." She said, "Good." She said, "Don't come home." She said, "Because Anthony's looking for you, and he said he's going to kill you." And at that time, both Anthony and I had a baby. I was 16 when I first became a mother. So the baby's in the crib. My mother's watching the baby. I have a brother that was staying there that was autistic. So he comes back again. My mother's in the room. He rings the doorbell, and my autistic brother lets him in. So he comes in. He walks to the back, and he looks in the crib, and he sees our daughter Tiffany, and he's looking around. I think he sat down on the couch with Anton for a little while. He's talking to him, and he's kind of biding his time, waiting for me to come back. So finally, I guess he realized she's not coming home, and he leaves. So I must have came home the day after I wound up staying at my friend's house. So I come back. He comes back again to the house. Now, remind you, we're living in New York. There are 5 different boroughs in New York. I'm in the Bronx. He lives in Brooklyn. So it takes him about an hour and a half to get to my house. So during this time, my mother wanted to take our siblings to an amusement park. So I said, okay, well, if you're going to take them to the park, I'll go and hang out with a friend of mine. So I packed my daughter up, put her in a stroller, and I'm walking the carriage to my friend's house. I'm walking down the block. Anthony walks up behind me and he's looking at me, and then he goes, give me the baby. So I'm like, no. Now, remind you, totally different person from 2 days ago. Okay. So I'm looking at him like, no, I'm going to my friend's house. So he goes, no, you're not. I'm taking the baby and you're never going to see her again. Okay. Because you're the devil. I've come to learn that when people call me the devil, and unfortunately I've had this happen more than twice, that person's actually possessed. So she struggles and tries to get my daughter out of the carriage, and my mother and my father, they see what's going on. So my father starts to race down to where we were. Now, Anthony, at this time, Anthony's a bit of a gangster. So I don't know if he has a gun on him. I don't know if he has a knife, a razor, what have you. So we wound up hailing down a cab. Not a cab, I mean a cop. I'm sorry. So the cop comes and he goes, what's going on? So Anthony starts saying, this is my baby. She won't let me see my baby, blah, blah, blah. He starts giving this whole sob story. So the cop is looking at me, and they don't really like to get involved with domestic disputes, if that's what they think it is. So I said, no, he just took the baby. And how could I tell this cop, hey, my boyfriend is possessed? How does that look? I mean, now it's a little more common, unfortunately, but it looks crazy to say something like that. So anyway, Anthony put the baby back in the stroller, and I was able to go to my friend's house. Okay. On my way back, and Anthony is waiting for me again. This time he wasn't to be denied. He picked Tiffany up and took her to Brooklyn somewhere. Now, remind you, during this time, I'm breastfeeding her. I'm a teenager, I'm going through an emotional time with him. He's changed on me. He's not the loving person that he used to be to me. And I'm about to go crazy. This guy has my baby. She's out in Brooklyn. He has 7 sisters, right? So I'm calling around to every sister's house to try to find out where my baby is. No, Junior's not here with her. Junior's not, he's not here. That was his nickname also. Anthony's not here. So I'm about to lose my mind. I'm like, oh my God. So finally, he brings the baby back. And I don't know, call me dingy or whatever, but I want to make things work. I'm young. I'm in love. He's my first love. So I go back out to Brooklyn with him. So we're in Brooklyn, and I go in the room with the baby. So we're in the room. I come back out to make a bottle for my daughter. So I come into the kitchen, and there's like this giant cobra that's on the floor. It's like, what's the name of that movie that J-Lo was in? Was it Anaconda? It looked like a giant anaconda that was swirling around on the floor. And within the next second, it turned back to Anthony. So I'm shaking my head because I'm like, I know I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. So I said, Anthony, what were you doing? What were you doing on the floor? And he said, oh, I dropped something under the fridge. I was looking for it. I said, no. I said, you were a snake. And all I could think of, I remember that song, Move Your Body Like a Snake, Ma. I said, no. I said, you had turned into you were a snake. So he's looking at me and he's like, no, I'm not. So it's 3:00 in the morning, okay? I'm out in Brooklyn. I'm about 2 hours away, hour and a half by train. Of course, I don't have a car. How the heck am I gonna get out of here? So to make a long story short, I didn't sleep that night, right? I stayed up until the following day, and then I took my behind home. But that wasn't the end of it. He comes back, I want to say a couple of days later, and I'm like, I don't want to be bothered anymore. I don't want a snake anaconda boyfriend. I don't know what happened to you. I had no idea that he had gone over to his friend's house, and his friend's grandmother was into Santeria and did something to him, and then called him back the following day to give him a bath, okay? And he became possessed as a result of it. So that started a long journey of, me trying to break up with him and him telling me that you're not going to break up with me. If I can't have you, nobody else can. I lived on the 12th floor at that time. So he tried to throw me off the terrace. I mean, oh my God, I went through so much with this person. And, it wasn't until I want to say my mother and I began to go to church, and thank God we got involved with a powerful, powerful service that, he was able to finally get delivered after that time. But I will tell you about the deliverance and some other testimonies that I have regarding Anthony, and just some of the things that I've gone through that have made me fall in love with Christ. He's had my back time and time again. And when people get to know me, or they meet me a lot of times for the first time and they're spiritually attuned, God will tell them I've saved her over and over again. Okay? So that's one of my testimonies. I will come back and share some more like this, okay, in future episodes. All right? But bless you, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.